What is happening, everybody? It's your friendly neighborhood FUD fighter, Michael T. Ragland, and we're back again. Today, we're going to be answering our good friend Kristine Fernandez's questions all about how to get started in NFTs, or more better yet, how to take action. Kristine said that she is ready to go. She wants to take action. She has some final questions. And as usual, I have that handsome gentleman next to me, Detective Dan is here. And Kristine is back in the building as well. And we don't like to waste your guys' time, so I reckon we're going to jump right into it and actually start answering some of these questions I'm sure a lot of you guys have when you're ready to take action around NFTs. Okay, Kristine, hit us.
All right, so first question, I am really keen to buy my first NFT. I don't know whether I should buy at minting stage. When is the best time to buy? Is it minting stage or afterwards?
I like that question. I like that one a lot. For me, I think when you first get started, you end up buying stuff at mint price, right? Because you're just like, oh yeah, I see the hype. I'm going to jump in. I want to get on the whitelist, or I want to get it early and I want to mint it. But here's the thing. I like psychology a lot of markets and trading. So I'll just walk you through what normally happens. People will go in, they'll rush in to mint something, but you'll spend a lot of your life checking that mint price, hoping that it doesn't dip. Newsflash, it's gonna dip. Because what happens is a lot of times they'll do a pre-sale on the whitelist, where there's a lot of people before you that have gotten this for a cheaper price. So you may mint it at like the public sale price, but all the people before you, maybe let's say that for instance, the pre-sale price was 0.03, but the mint price is 0.06. So by the time you come in and mint it, these people can already double their money by selling it as soon as you mint it. So I don't mint things for that reason. I like to get stuff off the secondary market after I kind of see what the trend is. Dan, what are your thoughts around that?
I'll jump in really quickly, and that's why I appreciate a launch that has a fair launch. When I say a fair launch, it's the same price, so everyone has the same opportunity at the same price, where there's not a pre-sale, because then, as you said, pre-sale might draw the price back down because we know people can make money quickly. So I love things that are at a set price, not a pre-sale then going up again. Short one for me.
Right. Oh, that's can I ask a question based on that? So I've never actually seen anything that has a consistent price all the way from the beginning to the end. What does that actually look like on the internet?
I mean it's probably not that common, because people there's the benefit of having a pre-sale is they can drum up hype, they can drum up excitement, and people go, oh, I'm going to get in, it's going to get cheap, and I'm going to make millions. It doesn't happen that often, but I think, as Michael said before, if you're actually launching a project and you want to be smart about it and you want to keep people that are loyal, if you all have the set price, they've got no real reason to sell it at a lower price before they actually go to reveal the project. So, yes, you probably haven't seen it. Do I hope it comes out more often? Indeed, yeah.
But, I mean, and not to go too deep into your first question, but one thing I'll say, I like to find out the why behind it. So the reason why there's giveaways and there's pre-sale is that a lot of times there's influencers that are getting it for that pre-sale price, so they can go and say that, oh, I got this project, you guys should get it too. So a lot of times, I hate to say it, but influencers are the one that are pushing that forward down. And as a project creator, there's incentive for you to give your project to influencers that can talk about it to drive hype even further. Does that kind of answer your question?
It does. Is there, what are we looking out for? So let's say we're on Twitter, we're on Discord. The norm for me right now and what I see is pre-sale price, minting price, and then public price. When you say that there's a launch price that is consistent, do they just say launch price? That's what it looks like.
Mint price. It used to. Dan, when's the last time you seen one of those? She's touched on a good point, because I hadn't seen it in a while. Yeah.
So I think there has been a couple lately. I can't remember the exact projects, but what they'll do is they'll typically have a whitelist, and then they'll have the public sale. Now, a whitelist is where you get the early access to it, but it's all at the same price. So there are projects still doing that, but I think they drum up hype with having a whitelist rather than having a pre-sale.
I see. My next question is going to be, what is the difference between a whitelist and a pre-sale?
Good question. So just the mechanics behind a whitelist, all that means is that they take your wallet address, and your wallet address is actually approved to mint before anybody else. That's what the mechanics behind what a whitelist actually is, right? So a lot of times for whitelists, like Dan said, the way they drive up hype is that they make you compete in their Discord by, we call it grinding, but you have to post and reach a certain level in Discord. You have to invite X amount of friends. You can do fan artists, all this stuff you can do to actually drive that as well. And Dan, I'll let you take the pre-sale question. So what's the difference between the two when you look at a whitelist and a pre-sale?
Yeah, a pre-sale, I mean, they're very similar in a sense, but a pre-sale will often be that it is a cheaper price that is leading up to it. So, I mean, the main thing is usually price, the difference between a whitelist and a pre-sale. So there's not a whole bunch of difference between pre-sale. You have access at a cheaper price.
Yeah, 100%.
Right, and can we in that way? So is a whitelist kind of like you can get whitelist? It's almost like a reward for doing the work. Whereas a pre-sale would apply to someone who's like, I don't have time to do the work, but I do want to buy.
Or I am an influencer.
Yeah. Or you're an influencer, or you've been selected. Yeah.
Okay, so basically the key differences is if you want to do something to get sort of in the door earlier, either do the work and get on the whitelist, or watch out for the pre-sale if you're not an influencer.
100%.
Typically the pre-sale the pre-sale can be gated as well. So it will be, sometimes they're like, you have to grind for the pre-sale. So the main difference between the pre-sale and the whitelist is literally just the pre-sale might be cheaper. So it's a pre-sale of the actual item itself. Whereas whitelist, you just pay the same as what the public sale is.
100%.
Right. Okay.
It does get a little bit confusing with all these things, but yeah, go on, sorry.
But I think this is what's really great to know, because people enter this space from different places, right? Some people enter this place and they're listening to stuff in the background and want to get involved, but they're not too sure when to actually take action.
Yep.
So that's pretty much, that seals up that side of the questions. They're kind of like functional. When do you find new projects?
When?
Or how do you find new projects?
So there you go. So, the how is that if you're plugged in, like if you guys seen our last video with Kristine, we talked about how to do your own research. I will put that one on the card somewhere above. I always never know where to point to when it comes to those things. But we talked a little bit about doing your own research. But to recap on that, I think the way that we find stuff is that you have to actually I always say something to the rest of the guys at NFTyou to join the conversation. So the way that you join that conversation is by following every legit account on Twitter to actually know what's going on in NFTs. And I have my tweet deck set up with different lists of people that are influencers in the NFT space, as well as different tools that show things that are minting and sales value and all this other crazy stuff as well. So I think the main thing is just being a part of the conversation. We'll also link some tools down below, like rarity.tools and Trait Sniper and a bunch of other tools and stuff you can use to dig a little bit deeper to find upcoming projects, NFT calendar, things like that as well. Dan, how do you find your stuff, mate?
A lot of it, as you were saying, is kind of being amongst a community of people that are actually interested in things. And typically, like once you start following the influencers on Twitter and following friends that are into NFTs, you'll generally find stuff being retweeted and they'll be commenting on things and tagging you in things. And especially when they do make you work so hard for those whitelists, it does end up being spread all across your Twitter feed anyway. And then from there, I kind of take that path. But yeah, otherwise there's actually a whole bunch of like launch calendars. So they'll tell you what projects are coming up. And then I kind of work backwards from there, looking at their website, looking at their Discord, looking at their Twitter. And that's where, like, as I was saying, we said in the other video, 1 week in the NFT space is like 1 year in regular world. So you do feel like you're almost drowning a lot of this information all the time. So this is the website, Rarity Tools, that I'll often go to look for up and coming projects. And really depending on how much spare time I have, and I don't expect everyone to do this, but I might spend a day in here and I'll scroll through and see if there's anything that catches my eye. And I think that's what I like to see as a project that I like the look of. I want to invest in something that the artwork gets my attention, has a catchy name, whatever you want to take it from it. There's also trends that people try to catch on the back of, whether it be, pixelated art, whether it be robots. There's different themes that are kind of trending at the moment as well. So if I was looking for one, yeah, go for it.
Yeah, and I'll give you some big ones, Kristine. So he touched on the perfect thing. So we use that term meta. So if somebody asks like, what's the current meta in the NFT space? That just means what's the current trend. So I'll give you the top 3 right now. So 3D artwork is a huge trend, as well as walking like avatars, right? Where it's like a little loop of a 3D character walking, and then the Third one is going to be like anime style artwork. Those are the three main ones. And then there's also, like, rightfully so, a huge like celebration and collaboration around women-led projects. So those four things, if you can find anything that kind of ticks those four boxes to start with, they're going to be like up on the current trends. And then you can do the rest of the research we talked about in the last video for the rest of them. Yeah.
This is interesting, guys. I was on this Rarity Tools, and that's how I discovered a new project that I'd never seen spoken about on Twitter, and it was Geisha Tea House or Geisha Tea House. And that's the one I was like ready to invest in. And so what I did as a newbie, I was like, all right, let me go ahead and check them on Twitter. So I did. Let me go ahead and join the Discord. So I did. Let me go ahead and research the founders, the utility. So I'd done those steps.
Nice.
And there must have been one more thing that held me back from actually, I think it was about to be minted, and I didn't know whether it was wise to invest at that time or to wait for something else. So I just skipped it all together, and I thought I'm going to use this as a project to kind of watch the lifespan of this entire project. Okay, great. So we're on the right track.
And I'll give you one more thing too, back to your, I think you had an earlier question about whether you should mint or not. So another thing as well, when it comes to strategy, we're trading against humans, right? It's human behavior. So what normally happens at mint is that those people we talked about that were pre-sale cause that price to dip. It may eventually come back up again, but when I go to buy a project, I'm just waiting for that initial dip and some volume. I need to
When does that happen? Like what's the average time frame? Is it like 2 weeks after mint?
No, it moves way faster than that. We're talking about you need to be there within that first like hour. Everything happens. Everything we're talking about is going to happen. It's going to dip. It's going to go up. It's going to go down within that first.
This is where, and not to cut you off, and I want to share something on my screen in a second, not just yet. But if you really like the look of a project, if you think that it is going to be something that has great utility and you really enjoy it, I don't have that much self-control, so I'm going to be buying in. Like I'm probably not as good as Michael. But like that's the thing. If you think it is a project that you're going to hold on to and you appreciate it, and it's a great community that's keeping you there, and utility's wild, I don't see why you shouldn't buy in then. But if you switch to my screen now, this is a huge. I don't want to use the term red flag, but this pre-sale price is 0.06. And their public sale is twice as much.
You're gonna get wrecked.
So you can, yep. So you can think about it when the people that bought it at 0.06, and then there's people spending double as much, as if they aren't going to sell it for 0.1, and this will get brought down. The floor will come right down because of that there. So that's too far apart for a public and a pre-sale, in my opinion. So I would skip right past this project just based off that alone. Wrapping up that little bit, and I think the more research you do, because the more you learn and the more you kind of take from that. But I think my biggest piece of advice to anyone that's new in the industry is find something that's a relatively not cheap project, but something that is interesting you, but it is a low price, just to go through the experience of that. Like, were you able to actually mint one? Because sometimes when you go to mint one, there's so many people going to buy one at the same time that you don't actually get one.
Yep.
And then sometimes you go to mint one, and there might be the Ethereum gas price, which is it's charging like $200 to buy this NFT, and it's like, why am I spending $200 if the NFT is only worth $50? Like, so
okay, cool.
You go through all these emotions. So I would suggest if there's an entry one, just go for it.
Okay, cool. All right, cool. So if someone was interested in flipping, then when is the best time, or like what's that journey like? Are you waiting for the dip?
Yep.
After the pre-sale, then you buy and then you flip.
Yeah,
is that the common behavior?
Yes, but you can't get trapped because there's so many different things that play into like a good flip. Like there's some projects where you're like, I want to get a rare one because I'll be able to flip that rare one for a better price. It's going to be more liquidity, if you will, in the rare or higher ranked items. And there's tools out there that we talked about. If you guys watching this video, click the link above. We talk about Trait Snipers, one of those tools that you can see the rarity in those things as well on how to find out when you're flipping things. So a lot of times if you on my screens, I'll have up a rarity tracker where it's showing me what rare ones and what's available at what price. And it shows me the volume of what's happening in real time as well. So I'm literally monitoring this stuff. And like I said, it moves super fast. So I'm monitoring what's out there and the volume and stuff, as well as.
Do you want to share my screen? Go for it. Share my screen really quickly, and I'll show you a flip I went through as well. So this is for a group called MetaRim. And basically what I saw was there was actually price volume that got up to roughly 0.3. So where the mouse is now, might take a little while to upload on the screen. But then there was a huge dip. So the dip went down to this hasn't been revealed yet. So the dip went down to, what are we looking at? Average trade price was 0.07. So I bought 2 at that price because I saw the price has already been up to this area previously. So I was like, chances are it's going to have another run. And that's exactly what it did leading up to the reveal. It went back up to 0.5. So I didn't cash out at 0.5. I got out a little bit before then because you need to take profits where you take profits. And then as soon as the reveal happened, this floor just went straight back down there. So that's kind of the process that I looked at. I knew it had already been to a higher price. So I was like, cool, I'm going to see how it goes. And there was enough hype in the Discord for me to know it's probably going to have weight to carry back through. And I think you've got to look at, is there a reason for it to pick back up to that price previously? Are people 100% scared of something that's happening, or are people excited about something that's happening? So yeah.
Right. Is there ever a point where it's too late to resell or to flip something?
Yes. So like I said, this stuff happens within on Mint and Reveal. Like, it doesn't even take an hour most of the time on these hype projects. So what always happens is, and the reason why Dan didn't catch that top is because you can't predict the top of the market. The only thing you can do is say that, okay, there's enough volume here, there's liquidity in this one that I have, I need to get rid of it. You can't try to hold on to it, because what happens is, if you look on the screen now, that top, see how quickly that went off and plateaued down? That volume drops quickly on those things. So the reason why Dan said always take profits is that as soon as you see volume kind of trickling down, like on the actual listing or the sales page on OpenSea and other tools, you'll see how often sales are happening. I don't know if you ever looked at that before. It'll say like, oh, a few seconds ago, or 5 minutes ago, or 10 minutes ago. Like right there where Dan's looking now, on like newer projects, I want to see, like, I don't even like gaps of 5 minutes. When it's like, I want to see gaps of like a couple minutes. I want to see constant volume. As soon as it starts to die down, it's probably time for me to get out of there. You know?
Right. So when you're saying volume, you mean volume of trades per 100%. X amount of minutes.
100%. Yeah.
Okay.
100%. Yeah.
And when that reduces, so when that activity reduces, that's a sign that this particular project is now, it's just going to plateau.
100%.
Like the trading behavior is just going to plateau
and go straight down fast.
And go straight. And so what happens from there? Are you just hanging in for like faith that the project will see itself through for any further utility?
Depends on how you invested in it, right? So there's things that, like Dan said before, if you care about a project, you know, this is a cool project, I believe in the founders, I think long term it has great utility. So you're not flipping it, you don't really care about these movements, right? But if you're flipping it, you need to actually keep an eye on all the things we mentioned above. The volume, you know, what's happening, what's the current sentiment on Twitter, and what people are saying in the Discord about it. Because if you go to these Discords, people are like legit losing their minds in the Discord about what's happening with the actual things. You can get a pretty good thesis around all those things, but like flipping, I think, is an art form within itself that we will definitely do more videos to go around like the mindset behind it. But I think it's probably 80 to 90% psychological when it comes to the flips.
Right.
You know. Yeah.
It sounds like what I'm getting is that there's two ways to be in this space. It's one, it's like you're either a flipper, you're flipping, or you're in it and it's the long game. Like you're trying to collect NFTs and that's the two main behaviors in this space.
But the market's driven by flippers right now. Okay. Right now it's driven by speculation and flippers. Yeah.
I've got two different wallets. So one of my wallets is like my long-term hold. My other one is kind of like stuff that I don't want to hold on to. So I'll probably try and get rid of it quickly. But this is one of the projects that I actually am in long-term, and it's called Bitcoin Billionaires. And they released ages ago, but they had an iOS app that has over 50 million downloads. So that was kind of what I was basing my, trust in them, because they're going to release their own game. So I've stuck through this project through thick and thin. I mean, Mint, I believe, is like 0.2. And what do we get at the moment? 0.06. So like I'm down on this project, and that's completely fine, because I have faith that they're going to release a game eventually that will be quite good. But that's kind of one of those ones that I put to the side. I hide it in my wallet, so I totally forget about it. And that's what you have to do with these things. You have to forget about it if it is a long-term hold.
I'm really interested in finding out, like, what are the real behaviors behind this kind of activity? Like, we're putting in a lot of money. A lot of people are making a lot of money. Are we really in here? Like, what is the real root of this entire world, like this NFT world?
I think the main thing, and I have like a long thesis on this that drives Dan crazy because I'm always going on about it, but I think the main thing for it is that it began and it was about like, maybe it was about the artwork, right? But I think it's to the point now that people don't give a F about any of the artwork. It's more about access and exclusivity, and it's almost like a pastoral country club. Like, do you think the people that are spending $300,000 on a Bored Ape care about the artwork? Like, no. Like, I want to be able to be in these chats with my friends, my Jimmy Fallon, Eminem, whoever, everybody else who has one as well, to actually be a part of this inclusive community of cool people. And as soon as you change your actual Twitter PFP to a Bored Ape, that's a guaranteed 10x on your followers straight away, without a problem. You have influence just by being part of that exclusive club. My last little bit of my thesis is that all this profile picture stuff is going to go away. It's a bubble. It's going to go. Nobody's going to care. The thing that's going to happen in the future with NFTs, I think, Dan can have a different opinion, but what I think about it is that it's going to change to more of an access type of thing. So think about this. I'm a huge American football fan. Everybody that went to the Super Bowl this year got an NFT. So very easily, if I was somebody who was organizing an event, I can go through, and since everything is viewable on the blockchain, I can see everybody who has that Super Bowl NFT in their wallet, and I can create exclusive events and access for those people in the metaverse or directly through a call like this and invite them into it because I can see who's been there. I can put my car title on there, my house title. That's where NFTs are going, and we're beginning at pictures right now. Dan, what are your thoughts around the whole NFT space?
I'll let Kristine jump in and then I'll say my word.
Yeah, go ahead.
That was really valuable because really, I'm just trying to understand. I mean, there's the art side of it, there's the community side of it. And I think there are going to be people who they want to do this, but maybe they don't have time to be part of the community, but they do want to be in the NFT space. So what is the purpose of all of this? Yeah.
Yeah. And you know what? I love these conversations with Michael because I disagree with him, and we're allowed to do that as well. It's completely fine. But I don't believe that the art is not going to be a part of this. I still think art is going to be huge. We've got a mate who's an artist. He's trying to release his own NFTs because he wants to separate his life from, having to set up art galleries and do things like that. So I feel like there's going to be an avenue for art. But as you said, I believe like probably 98% of the projects are going to go down to zero because they hold no value. And that's what that's what we're moving into at the moment. So, right, Michael, I hope you don't mind me saying that stuff.
It makes perfect sense, and I agree with you. And that's the thing. What I was saying, as far as it dying down, I think the true stuff, the Bored Apes, and the ones that really have real utility in the community are going to be there. But for the average person, they're probably going to be interacting with NFTs because they want to have access to something. For instance, like Kristine, I know you've done courses and things before. There are courses set up now on a Web3 website where you have to have that NFT in your wallet, and the website knows that. As soon as you connect your wallet, you get access to all the course content. So that's where we're going with NFTs, and it doesn't have to be an artwork. It can just be a pass that says Kristine's course pass, and you make 5,000 of them, and they have to have that. So I think that's where we're going. Yeah.
That's really poignant. And I appreciate the two perspectives because I think people resonate. I resonate with both of them actually. And I'm just trying to understand my place in this world. So in this world of NFTs.
Legit.
Is there I have one main last question is I hear a lot about like rare NFTs, and the reason why this question stands out so much is because I know of some people who have bought into projects and somehow there was part of the process where there was a random giveaway and they got one of the rarest one, and you pretty much go from a starving artist who invested in NFT and then ended up being a millionaire afterwards. I'm sure people have heard about these stories. If you've entered the NFT space, does every project have a rare NFT, and is that something that people should care about?
So Dan's very good at explaining these type of drops and the different mechanisms and the way you can do it. So I'm gonna throw it to Dan to kind of uncover this and walk us through it. Dan, what do you got?
Yeah, definitely. So you have your candy machine, or blind mint, you might call it as well, where you hit the mint button and you don't know what you're getting until you actually see it in your wallet there. And so that is purely luck of the game. So this was 1,000 Cyberkongs drops. So you would have, 1 in 1,000 chance of actually getting that rare one as well. And sometimes, if you do get the number one, this person has it listed for 10,000 ETH. I don't know if they're going to get that. Good luck to them. But yeah, that actually could change your life. That could be the one that makes you millions of dollars or sets you a little bit financially free. But yeah, it's all luck of the game in that sense. And sometimes what will happen is there's two different ways to actually launch your project. So there might be that when you buy it, you know what the art is straight away. So you see it straight away, so you can then look at how rare it is and compare it and go from there. The other one is a delayed reveal, which a lot of people are doing at the moment, where they're going to go, you pay for it, you have it in your wallet, and then we show you what it is later on. Now, with that one there, a lot of people list their NFTs for sale, not knowing how rare it is. So some people will wait until they're revealed and then quickly try to grab the rare ones and then sell them for a higher price.
And that's a
So that
strategy,
can happen
right?
as
That's
well.
a great. I love that strategy.
Yeah.
It's like called a
Wow.
postman flip. So I love that. It's one of my favorite strategies. Sometimes you need a little bit more ETH because people always overvalue what they have when it comes down to it. So if you have a bit more money to kind of play with, you would go for that strategy. If you don't, maybe you go for a just when it mints and it dips strategy. So it's a bunch of different flipping strategies in there.
Yeah, so it sounds to me like, so this is called candy machine
Yep.
or a blind mint.
Yep.
When you're buying into something and there's things that you don't know about what you're buying or the look of it.
Anything.
And then that in itself,
Yep.
anything at all. And there's an entire strategy around that as well. That's like a different strategy from what you might do with other types of investments that you might make.
Yeah.
Is that, are we on the right
Most of them are candy
understanding?
machine. When you look at it, I don't think there's many projects now that aren't that style. You know what I mean? Because it feeds right into like the psychology, into psychology, right? It's like people want to have that risk. It keeps you excited because you're like, oh, everybody in the Discord is like, when reveal. They want to know. So sometimes it takes up to a week to actually find out what you have. So, and there's trading happening throughout that time. So there's people who are like, oh, I sold a rare for like, you know, a couple $100 that ended up being worth several $1,000, but that's the game, right?
Right. Yeah, I think I might be watching a couple of projects that's what's happening, and it's really interesting because I don't know what they're going to look like, and I'm kind of just waiting for everything to unfold so I can make sense of from point A to the end of it all. So hey guys, I do one final question.
All right.
Is that okay?
It's fine. Go for it.
Of course.
Okay. I just want to know your opinion because you guys have been in this space for a long time. I want to know your opinion about what people say when they say, ultimately come in this not for the money but for fun. But let's be honest, a lot of the hype around why people are here to begin with and what caught people's attention to begin with is because of the money. Like for people who aren't in the Web3 space, digital space, they just go, oh, I hear about this NFT thing, and a lot of people are making money, but then the bottom line is the people in the space are always saying, don't come into it for the money, come into it for the fun, what is your opinion having been in this space for that long?
I have an opinion about advice. Like, I'm never offended by anybody's advice because it always comes from, and I take it with a grain of salt because it comes from their unique perspective, right? So if I've been in NFTs and say I'm like an influencer that everybody sees on Twitter and I have friggin' millions of dollars, I'm gonna say do it for the fun, without taking the aspect of looking at somebody who just came in who's like, hey, I have a job, I invest in stocks, and inflation's catching up. I want to have something that beats inflation. I've seen my cousin make 6 figures on this last year. That's the majority of people. So that advice that I'm getting, I'm always looking at who's the person giving me that advice and what is their perspective and what's helped form that perspective from them. That's the way I look at it. I want to take everybody's unique perspective and make my own advice, my own opinion, depending on that perspective. I think that's my main thing. It just depends on who you ask. You're gonna get a different answer every time.
I've been like, I love trading. I think that's a big part for me. And I think like a lot of it, and people go, oh, it's just gambling. And I was like, it's educated gambling. So there is information you can use to give yourself a competitive edge. So whilst, yes, I think people say just get it in for the artwork, get it in, but for me, like that's just what I enjoy. So it's the educated side of trading and flipping and understanding how it works. So I'm a bit of both almost, but more probably like the excitement of going through that process.
It's interesting, right? When you say that, and it kind of taps into your unique personality, right? So I've known Dan long enough and we talk more than we do with our partners. So it's one of those things where for me, I'm a very like macro thinker, like a big picture thinker. I'm huge into like market economics and what's driving the price and the volume and all these things. And I think Dan has more of he's a bigger risk taker than I am, but he loves the fun and the excitement of trading, but he's also a very technical person. So he likes the charts and actually breaking down the charts on crypto and seeing what's happening, and I take it from a different perspective. So you got to kind of think about your unique personality as well when it comes to your actual strategy in NFTs, right? So I tend to be more of somebody who wants to hold something, but I can flip, than somebody who probably would be more that would flip more than he would hold, just depending on his personality type. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right, I understand. Yeah, I think at the moment I'm a bit of both of you. I'm in it. Like for me, it's the big picture. Being in the digital space, you just know that this is where everything is going. How it unfolds is the variable. So I think that there's going to be a lot of things that are going to hold value and going to come into fruition because of this entry point. But I'm also really interested in once I get the ball rolling, I'm the kind of personality type that will go deep into being heavily involved. So there's kind of like, I'm a really slow starter, but once I'm in, it's because it's very thorough, I think, like I'm in. So yeah, it's just interesting to understand everyone's motive for being here.
Yeah.
And I think there's nothing wrong with being attracted to this because of like the different world that it is. But yeah, the financial, like what you said, Michael, like inflation is kicking in, and here's another place that's like not impacted by that. So
100%.
yeah. Thank you guys so much.
I'll throw one last thing on there as well, because I like to give tips for people watch it and Kristine. So one thing we're kind of seeing since I'm the macro guy, on like a macro sense, what tends to happen is that every time that crypto goes down, so right now everybody's freaking out about Bitcoin because it's at 39,000 US dollars right now. And they trade inversely, right? So if crypto's down, NFTs are technically cheaper, right? Because my Ethereum is worth less. So if you're looking to actually get in and actually spend some money, this right now, when crypto's down, is a good time to invest. When it goes the other way, everybody gets bearish in the market and you don't see a lot of volume there as well. Those are my kind of thoughts from a macro perspective. Before we get out of here, Dan, is there one very small technical thing you can share with people before we go? Because I want to give them as much value as we can.
I mean, like, I think the big thing that we touched on earlier is looking at the volume. That is kind of one of the things that will keep us in an NFT trade or an NFT flip, whatever you want to call it. But looking at the volume and looking at how many sales transactions come through. So that's kind of my one big thing that I would say keep an eye on. And if the volume goes down, you can't live on hope. We're looking at actual, we call it hopium as well. It's just the actual technical base of like, there's not as many people buying it. So when you want to sell it, it won't be as easy.
Got it, guys. Thanks for hanging out in this one. This one was action-packed. Feel free to go through, slow this one down, stop it, write down answers to those questions. Kristine had some amazing questions. It's going to help out a lot of you guys. Keep in mind, there's a playlist above called NFT 101, where we go through and we cover all these things, because our aim here at NFTyou is to make sure you guys don't get wrecked in Web3 by actually sharing this great information with you. If you want to continue the conversation, go ahead and let us know in the comments what you thought, as well as joining our Discord down below. And if you like what you've seen here and got one little nugget, please just hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. And Kristine doesn't know, but we're going to reel her back in here as well, because I want to see her perspective and follow her journey as we go, guys. But until next time, it's your friendly neighborhood flood fighter, Michael T. Ragland, my main man, Detective Dan, and Kristine Fernandez signing off, guys. Peace. Catch you in the next one.
Thank you. See ya.
Bye.